Lovely morning to you, mountain river creatures and creatures elsewhere along with mankind. We are getting ready to start the fourth video of this third book of, no, we're in the fourth book, right? Fourth book of Exodus. All right, and we left off with the finishing the dialogue between our Lord and Moyses. And now we're going to begin with Moses returning to the place of his father-in-law. There's a couple of things we're going to learn from this when we get through it. He explains that when he returns to his father-in-law, whom he calls now Jethro Raguel. He says to him, I'm going to return to my brothers in Egypt. I'm going to see if they're still alive. And Jethro says, go in peace. And during this travel, our Lord appears to Moses in Madian. It's like he's packing up, he's getting ready, he's leaving, and just as he's leaving Madian, or the night before, our Lord appears to him and says, go and return to Egypt, for they are all dead that sought your life. An open invitation. God is now telling him, all right, you got a clean slate, kid. No one knows what you've done. That's all rested. It's been buried with the previous king in Egypt, and now there's going to be a new. When you're walking with our Lord, he takes care of you. This is the gist of all this. It's simply incredible that ELOHIM refuses to send any of his patriarchs besides what we're learning here with Moses, in which he will be harmed by man. Unless there's a bigger picture that man doesn't foresee, like what happened with Jesus. Jesus, the supreme patriarch, the final, and God is allowed to be judged, harassed, and murdered by man. Elohim is a very patient God. Therefore, you must be too. It takes years before Moses can return to Egypt. And when he does, he's not only 80 years of age, but those who are seeking his life, death, are all gone, buried. This includes Egypt's King Pharaoh. Moses takes his wife and his children, and he sets them on an ass and returns to Egypt, carrying the rod that our Lord gave him in his hand. Do not fear, daughter of Zion. Behold, your king comes sitting on the foal of an ass. Jesus himself, our king, our God. The best we give him is an ass. But he sits on it proudly because it's the people receiving him. Moses, he's just humble. He doesn't want to create any sort of attention to himself beyond what's going to happen. The Lord said to him, returning into Egypt, see that thou do all the wonders which I've put in hand before Pharaoh. And he tells him, I will indurate his heart. He will not dismiss the people. Wow, and what am I going for? If you know this, some interesting notes here. According to Saint Bernard, it is neither cut with remorse or formed with pity or moved with prayers or yields to threats. Yea, 'tis more hardened by punishments. Secondly, Moses writes this interchange to tell us that Mount Horeb, Mountain of God, was not the exclusive location for their communication. Elohim isn't a stationary figure, form, or thing. Nothing is exclusive or impossible to him. The burning bush, which we presented to you on Horeb, represents Elohim's most blessed altar, his church, and his followers, the Israelites, the children of Jacob, must bring their sacrifice to him at his church on Horeb. Thirdly, lastly, the staff. This rod represents our Lord's constant power and companionship with Moses. As I said before, look at this. You can even look at his staff as a mystical weapon that can only be handled or wielded by Moses. I wonder what would happen if another placed his hand on that rod. Would they be able to withhold such intense power? Would they be burned? Yet this, it's called a weapon, a Lord's weapon. It must be charged in order for it to be active. Moses returns to Elohim to recharge the rod, the hand of God. Now what about this? I will indurate his heart. Listen, I don't want to ignore or denigrate what the learned fathers, ancients, and doctors wrote, but I'm going to get very comfortable with my axiom that Elohim means the following. His miracles result in Pharaoh freely, and out of complete envy, hardening his own heart. Meaning, our Lord tells Moses, he will indurate Pharaoh's heart. He means by his miracles and words through Moses, the king's heart will harden out of anger and envy. So our Lord is saying, it's because of me, my miracles, through your hand, that he's going to harden his heart. And you have to remember, this new Egyptian king thinks of himself as a god. Thou shalt say to him, this saith the Lord, my first begotten son is Israel. The followers of his church, his nascent church, are the children of Jacob, the children of Israel, the children of Jesus. Since man is quiesces, first begotten, it should be self-evident he refers to his sheep as the first begotten. A special covenant made to our incredible patriarch Abraham in the sacrament of circumcision, which sanctifies the children of Israel, of Isaac, of Abraham, with our Lord's church, with our Lord's religion. Elohim is instructing Moses to continue this sacrament with his own offspring. Moses, you've got 2 kids. You've got to circumcise them. This is what he's getting to. This is something that Moses, like I said, he wasn't reared in this religious atmosphere. So he thinks, okay, I'll get to it. He doesn't understand when our Lord says something, if he's hinting towards something a couple times, he means right away. I said to thee, dismiss my son, that he may serve me, and thou wouldst not dismiss him. Behold, I will kill thy first begotten son. This is to Moses, not only King Pharaoh. Well, before continuing on with verse 24, there's another intriguing point I want to share with you. These very words quiesces expressing to Moses. As written, our Lord is commanding Moses to get his own house in order before proceeding with fathers. Yes, this definitely pertains to us. You cannot preach the word. You cannot exemplify our Lord's power if you are not in a state of grace yourself. If you're having sex and having children, being promiscuous and doing all the good things that the temporal life can provide you, that's not with God. That's with earth. It's as simple as that. 2, more worldly, is this not the same message and the consequence to Pharaoh of Egypt? It's very eerily parallel, but it can be confusing to read this. Let's consider the verses piecemeal. My first begotten son is Israel. The followers of my religion are the children of the patriarch before Moses, known as Israel. I said to thee, dismiss my son that he may serve me. Pharaoh, dismiss my spouse's children so they can sacrifice to me. And thou wouldest not dismissed him. Pharaoh's heart was obdurate, and he's not going to dismiss the Jacobites. And then lastly, behold, I will kill thy first begotten son. Frighteningly so, this is exactly what happens to the firstborn of all Egyptians and residents of Egypt without what you'll learn to be the mark of the Lamb. These verses provide an invaluable lesson to all procrastinators. We're going to learn what Moses does next. Till then, learn, absorb, read. Pax Vobis. Listen to him. Look at him out there. He provides you with a wonderful gift on this planet called Terra. What? And the gifts that you have now are all because of him. So my question to you is, what in turn are you going to offer him?